I've referred to that, the dynamic you talk about as a flat blackness,
Right.
where when it comes to how we identify as black, especially in regard to certain types of problems or experiences with racism, we're all in one category.
Right.
But when it comes to gender, we only focus on women and girls, or LGBT to some extent. But men, particularly heterosexual black men, somehow don't have a gender when it comes to the analytical academic lens. And so it's
Hmm.
and we've seen that the last 5 years, most especially, when we talk about voting practices. I'm
Right.
sure you've noticed that when they highlight who votes Democrat to the greatest degree, we talk about black women because
Hmm.
they're in the 90% range. But
Right.
black men are in the 80s,
Right.
and they're the second highest group and definitely the highest group of men percentage
Hmm.
wise, and yet that gets very little discussion. As a matter of fact, in the last few months, or at least the month before Biden was elected, we began to hear narratives that black men were preemptively responsible for the potential loss of Joe Biden to Donald Trump. And it was an
Hmm.
interesting kind of set of accusations, and it
Right.
ended up kind of justifying these strange practices where they were like, you saw these commercials with, uh, strippers trying to get black men to vote because there
Right.
was this assumption that too many of them weren't going to vote Democrat. But as has been consistent, they voted to the second highest degree. So it seems very similar to what you're talking about.
Right.
Anything you want to, is it similar or are there
No,
differences?
it's absolutely central. Just like I overlooked that in my dissertation, right? And I
Mm.
not only in my dissertation, but in that paper that I published,
Okay.
even though I recognized that black men were higher than other racial groups of men, I did not focus on the fact that they were also higher, being more progressive than white women, Asian women, and Latinas.
Mm.
And that's the important thing. Just like um, we don't look at black men with this voting pattern when they're the second highest among all groups,
Yes.
with black women being first.
Right.
Now, you said a important word. You said practice,
Mm.
and I'm not talking about the Allen Iverson kind of practice, right? But we have a practice of being hypercritical
Mm.
about things that black men do,
Mm.
right? And the practice is this: you can see it on ESPN, you can see it on TNT, you can see it discussed um, in the media. When you have more black men involved in anything, there's always this critique, and it only can be one at the top.
Mm.
So right now you hear Charles Barkley and Shaquille O'Neal talk about who's the GOAT,
Mm.
and it's a discussion, it's practice for criticizing black men who do important things in other domains.
Mm.
So you do not hear um, a discussion and a debate and a critique, even like he did with Donovan Mitchell here for the Jazz
Okay.
in hockey.
Mm.
You don't hear anybody talking about who's the GOAT, who's better than Wayne Gretzky. You hardly hear about it in football, in the NFL, because most of the great quarterbacks that we've seen were white because of segregation,
Mm.
right?
Mm.
And so, but you never hear that discussion when there's more white people. In basketball, we have more black men, right? And so you hear that critique. You don't hear about it in baseball.
Right. Yeah.
You don't hear about it in the movie. So when you had Spike Lee and what's the other brother's name who did Higher Learning?
Oh, what are you talking about?
Uh,
One of the actors, Ice Cube.
no, no, the director. Um,
Oh. Who did Boys in the Hood? Oh goodness.
Boys in the Hood, yeah.
You about to embarrass me because I can't remember. I'm gonna find his name right now.
I do. John Singleton.
John Singleton. Yes,
John
thank you.
Singleton. All right. So remember when John Singleton came out and it
Mhm.
was like, get out the way, Spike Lee. right?
Oh, right, right,
So,
right.
who's the best director? Who's
Yeah,
the best producer?
yeah.
But have you ever heard that conversation with Spielberg or
Right,
one of the other white guys?
right,
Right? So
right.
it's the practice that all of us participate in, thinking it's fun. We'll never know who the GOAT is,
Mm-hmm.
but it's typically only practice on black men.
Mm,
Now, black women get a different type of practice aimed at them.
right.
So Serena Williams, you hear in a different way.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not typically about the GOAT. It's
Mm,
about something about her image,
mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
But for
Absolutely.
black men, you only can have one at the top
Right.
when Spielberg and all the other white boys can be share the top.
Absolutely.